Shalom, 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 brothers and sisters of the nation of Israel. Happy Sabbath to you all. And I'm Brother Ananias.
Brother Benaiah.
Brother Yakub.
Brother Ezekiel.
And we are A.O.I, the Awakening of Israel. And it's an honor and a privilege to be able to come before you this Sabbath to give you another edifying lesson. And before we get started, as always, we got to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh by Hashem, Yahweh Shai. Yahweh being the Heavenly Father, and Yahweh Shai being who the world calls Christ. And we got to give just due for allowing us all to be able to come together on this call, congregating on the Sabbath, you know what I'm saying? But nonetheless, tonight's lesson is going to be taught by the mighty brother Yakub. So I'm going to pass it off to the brother.
Shalom, family. How y'all doing? Shalom, Israel. And all praise to the Most High for another Sabbath. This lesson we going to a part 2 from last week. We was into talking about the disparity of our people. This is a part 2 to this lesson because I think last week we stopped at the end of the Civil War, if I'm not mistaken. When we got on slave ships, we came over here and it was during the time of the end of the Civil War. So we're going to begin this week on the beginning of the Reconstruction era. And if many of you brothers and sisters, if you don't know anything about the Reconstruction era, this is during the time right after the Civil War, we started to rebuild up as a people. Is it an echo in the back, brother?
No, you good.
Come. All right. So this is what happened. All right, during the Reconstruction era, black schools, black businesses, even though we were still going through hell and trying to overcome white supremacy, we will begin to grow. We begin to build. We begin to come back as a people, stronger. Trying to. They begin to put our people in the Senate offices and different places like that, right? So during these times, we have black entrepreneurs begin to build in black areas, black neighborhoods, and we begin to build. Now, it wasn't significant growth. Of course, we were still in the poorhouse, but it was better off than us being in slavery and than what we had before. And really better than we have today, But this is what happened. So I'm going to read an article. This is from... this is right here. This is from Google. Right here. This article says Reconstruction era. Following the end of the Civil War, after slavery, blacks began to build schools, colleges to educate their own people, and they succeeded. But they began to bring in Jim Crow laws. So, like during this, during the Reconstruction era, towards the end of it, they began to bring Jim Crow laws, and this is when white supremacy started to show they behind. Now, we in the truth. We understand being separate from our enemies. We needed that. That's how we begin to grow. Other than that, we would have been stagnant. We would have been still in slavery. We've been still asking them. But when we started to come together as a people, that's when white supremacists started to get real upset. Now, they still want us to be separate from them, but they were real upset because we began to grow. Now, everybody heard of Tulsa, Oklahoma. You heard of other things, other places. But you haven't heard, I don't think a lot of people ever knew about the Atlanta riots. And if you haven't heard about the Atlanta riots, we're going to show you an article on it because this is one of the things we try to not to play out in society. They try not to talk about it, but this happened back in 1906.
I'll read it for you.
Thank you, brother.
This is 1906 Atlanta race riot. Violent attacks by armed mobs of white Americans against African Americans in Atlanta, Georgia, began on the evening of September the 22nd, 1906, and lasted through September the 24th. The events were reported by newspapers around the world, including the French Le Petit Journal, which described the lynchings in the USA and the massacre of the Negroes in Atlanta. The Scottish Aberdeen Press and Journal under the headline Race Riots in Georgia, and the London Evening Standard under the headlines Anti-Negro Riots and Outrages in Georgia. The final death toll of the conflict is unknown and disputed, but officially at least 25 African Americans and 2 whites died. Unofficial reports range from 10 to 100 Black Americans killed during the massacre. according to the Atlanta History Center. Is that all you
And
want?
I wanted to say something right there.
All right.
Now, when it says unofficial reports range from 10 to 100 Black Americans killed during the massacre, right? Now, this is a lot of people, man. 25 is a lot in one day. You know what I'm saying? But when you're talking about 10 to 100 people died in one day during this time. Now, this right here was something else, man. They don't mention it. They talk about Black Wall Street. Of course, it was thousands of people that got killed. You got 10,000 populations in several blocks that were knocked off due to white supremacy. But this right here happened down the street, right here in good old successful Atlanta now. They don't talk about these things. Now, you did exactly what I wanted to, bro. Go straight down. Now, right here, let's see why they destroyed Atlanta. Let's see why they went against Atlanta, man. I mean, went against the blacks in Atlanta. Because as we begin to rebuild these devils, they begin to hate us. So go all the way down. Let me see. Well, you know what? You can go back up a little bit. Let me read this right quick, if you don't mind. It says here. It says unofficial reports range from 10 to 100 Black Americans killed during the massacre, according to the Atlanta History Center. Some Black Americans were hanged from lampposts. Man, they hanged us from lampposts, man. You know what I'm saying? These devils hanged us from, that's like hanging from a street light today, man. It said others were shot, beaten, or stabbed to death. They were pulled from streetcars and attacked on the street. White mobs invaded Black neighborhoods, destroying homes and businesses. It's the same damn strategy they did during Black Wall Street, right?
Mm-hmm.
So let's go down. Hey, there it is right there. It said the immediate catalyst was newspaper reports of 4 white women raped. Hold on. Hey, brother, you can't highlight. Same damn narrative, brother. If you can highlight that for me, man, I appreciate that, man, because some people don't believe these things exist. The immediate catalyst was newspaper reports of 4 white women raped in separate incidents. Man, get the hell out of here. Get the hell out of here. Allegedly by African American men. Now, Israel, man, this we heard this before. The white women get raped, then the whole town get messed up, man. They just start hanging and killing people for no apparent reason, right? That's what I say is the immediate catalyst was newspaper reports for white women raped. So that's what they use. They use that rape as a push to help destroy communities, the same way they did in Black Wall Street. So let's go down.
Let me get a precept on that before you move on, King.
Okay.
Just to show that's in the scriptures. This is the book of Joshua, chapter 23, verse 13. It says, know for a certainty that the Lord your God will no more drive out any of these nations from before you, but they shall be snares and traps unto you, and scourges in your sides, and thorns in your eyes, until ye perish from off this good land which the Lord your God have given you.
Man, these nations are snares to us, man. And the number one snare is that wicked, pale-faced white woman, man. She's the number one snare. When it comes down to Esau, we come down to the heathens, man, because especially the men, our men, and it ain't just the black man, it's the Hispanic brothers too. We go find the most ugliest white woman. Forgive me, brother, all of them ugly, but we go find these women and be with them, get with them, and all of a sudden, rape. You know what I'm saying? Rape. And this is what they did to our men, man. This is what they did to our people. So let's go down. It says a grand jury later indicted 2 African Americans for raping Ethel Lawrence and her aunt. An underlying cause was the growing racial tension in a rapidly changing city. And the reason why it says the underlying cause was the growing racial tension in a rapidly changing city, because Atlanta began to grow. Black Atlanta, just like it's growing today. You have, your black areas in Atlanta. You know, mainly they call it what the Black Mecca, but it's still in poverty, like a mug. You know, but Atlanta began to grow during this time economically. That's what it says. It says racial tension in a rapidly changing city and economy, competition for jobs, housing, and political power. And political power, because that's what Esau's main gain is, to gain control, you know, of Jacob. That's his whole concern, you know. So we got that article out the way. Now we're going to go into the housing, right? We're going to go into housing because this is what they did to our people, man. This is what they did to our people. As we begin to grow and come out of the Reconstruction era, we begin to want to own homes, you know, want our own thing, right? We're trying to get away from the plantation. You know, in other words, we've been there for so long, our people said, the hell with this thing, we want to get out, right? So we had housing discrimination, right? Housing discrimination. Now you had the president at the time, his name was FDR, you know, and he was the one that white people love so much because he created the Social Security system and all that. But FDR had a plan for white people. Now during this time, you had a lot of, you know, not oppressed whites. You had a lot of white people who were poor, right? But they not even so much poor, but they wanted to make the system easier for the so-called white people, right? So they created the FAH, right? Which is the Federal Housing Authority, right? Now, let's read this. It says the FAH made obtaining mortgages easier by lowering down payments, providing long-term length, relaxing credit constraint, and placing limits. While the United, Slocky fam, while for blacks, the United was making home ownership as affordable for white people. Blacks were excluded from the American dream. Now, I'm reading this article that I have written down right here. But what happened was as they began to come into, you know, begin to make housing for blacks, for whites more easier, having them have credit and bank loans offered to them, they begin to still put us in the poorhouse. They begin to discriminate against us like they still do today. And this is why we are in the poorhouse today. So get to the point. So the FAH created credit loans that were like simple, you know, where they can pay like $5 for a down payment on a house, you know what I'm saying, with hardly any interest. Now think about it, man. A house at that time probably cost you a good 10 grand, you know, but then you pay maybe 20, but you paying $5 down. Now this is only offered to Esau, man, and his people, right? This is what they did, man. So get to the point, get to the housing discrimination. It says the system, we believe that poverty, this system who believe that poverty derived from black people. Now this is the thing, they have taught our people that poverty derived from us, that the only thing we need to do is pull up our bootstraps and we'll be all right, you know? And that's what we've been hearing. Hey man, if y'all just pull up your bootstraps, you know what I'm saying, use your brain and come down here, you'll have something going on for your community. But the whole issue is they don't want us to come up together as a people. They want us to come separate, right? They want us to individually come up, not as a unit, right? Now it says this. It says, this system, you believe that poverty derived from, will have you believe that poverty derived from black people being lazy and needing to pull up their bootstraps. But actuality, black poverty was made by our government, right? You know, the good old US of A. Now, to confine blacks to the lowest level of society. This thing was a planned out thing to confine us to the lowest level, into the ghettos and poverty that we are in today. Let me continue. It says, now when the idea of home ownership became a part of the American dream, right? That's when the FHA came about, trying to give out loans and everything to white people, but they was excluding black people. It said we were systematically kept away from it. It said when the Great Depression came, housing was at an all-time low, but is only a problem when white homeowners began to want black people out of their neighborhood. So they didn't want us included into that thing, right? They had us, they had us separated. They didn't want us into their neighborhoods, but we didn't want to be there. We just wanted a better life, but they didn't want that thing, man. So this is what happened. They began to build up a town called the Levington town, right? Levington town, right? But this ultimately a curse because our people didn't listen to the Most High, man. Because the Lord said in Zephaniah 2:1, right? Zephaniah 2:1. If you can grab it, brother. Because while I was trying to be in the hands of our enemies, these things began to happen to our people, man. These things begin to happen. We begin to be discriminated against, economically and socially, because we want to be close to our enemies. We just got out of slavery, man. So we should have ran far as hell from them. But read that if y'all got it, brother.
So Zephaniah 2:1.
Yes, sir. Zephaniah 2:1. We should have ran away from our enemies, man, instead of being so close knit to them. And that causes all type of issues. It causes hatred, That causes you rape me type of interest against our people, man.
Right. Bring it out, King.
Zephaniah chapter 2 and verse 1. Gather yourselves together, yea, gather together, O nation, not desire.
The Lord said, gather together, O nation, not desire. And we just got out of slavery. So we wasn't desired, man. They hated us. So why in the hell is our people trying to get close knit to them and trying to, experience that lifestyle of hate, of discrimination? That's why the Lord told us to gather together. But we still didn't understand that. So typically we wanted a better life for our people, man, right? So let me go to another article, right? So after that era, after us coming in trying to want our own thing, want our own property, they begin to discriminate against us, man. So in 1935, homeowner loan corporations was asked to create residential security maps, right? Now these residential security maps is what you call redlining, right? It says they help banks and real estate investors assess how safe their investments were. The most desired areas with newest infrastructure were outlined in green and labeled as type A. And now, brother, if I'm not mistaken, I believe I sent you a screenshot. I think it could have been last week, though, of the outline of this residential security maps. It's basically like redlining. It should be on the I sent it to you. But they did this purposely to make sure black people, we won't have none of the loans or none of the good deeds that the other that Esau have going for his neighborhoods and for his schools, right? And it says this, it says the most desirable areas with newest infrastructure were outlined in green and labeled as type A. These areas were white suburbs. And it says, and the least desirable areas were labeled type D. These were typical areas where blacks live. So they refused to insure mortgages and bank loans in high risk areas, right? So they didn't want to give us, any bank loans or any mortgages, due to us not having any firm infrastructure, due for us, being who we are, black. They wanted us to stay in the poorhouse. Now, if you look at this map right here, right? Now, this map right here, this is called the residential security map. Now, what we know today is called the red line. We're known for red lining because when you look at these different cities, that's on this on the screen. Different cities, if you can blow up, they got Birmingham on there too. All your major cities on here: St. Louis, Seattle, Baltimore, Boston. These majority areas with black people in, right? And this right here is called the residential security maps. And what banks would do, banks will use these maps in order to give us loans or deny us, right? So they'll tell us they'll fit you in whatever area that fit you for you to be in. So let me pull it up right there. Salakia family. Is that's the biggest it can go.
Let me see.
All right. You know what? That's good right there. Con. All right. Now you look at Brooklyn. You can see Brooklyn. That area where the red is, that's what the black community was. That was the least desirable areas. You know, that's what it was saying in the article. It said these these areas that was marked in red were the least desirable areas, right? Now we just read Zephaniah 2:1. The Lord said, "Come together, O nation not desired," right? So this right here in Brooklyn and all over the place. You look here in Birmingham, look down. Birmingham full of black people in the area, man. That's Birmingham, Alabama. That's us. Right there, full of red, full of black folks all over, man. So that's why this city is such a poor state. I mean, such in a poor condition because they don't offer us anything. So the banks denied us. They denied us loans. They denied us grants and even funding for our schools, because they said we didn't have any infrastructure. We didn't have anything to, saying to pay off these loans or grants. So
Hey,
the whole
hey,
thing with the
go ahead, bro.
No, I was just about to say the whole thing with the FHA was to deny us loans. Now I know times that came and some things are different, but then it wasn't like that. You know, now it's like that because discrimination laws and all that. But before then, they were discriminating hard. Go ahead, brother.
Hey, brother, let me bring something out. Just like you said, in Birmingham, there's a lot of us, a lot of so-called black people in Birmingham. And when you think about it, when different kind of things, when they try to get bids for things to come to when they tried to get bids for things to come to Birmingham, such as they tried to get Six Flags before Atlanta got Six Flags, and Birmingham turned it down, and
Mm,
Atlanta got it. And also, if we had a couple of NFL bids tried to come here also, and they turned it down. And you ask yourself why they turned it down, because if they did accept it and get those things here, it would create revenue. But the people who would be getting revenue is us,
right,
and they'll rather us not get it, so they'll send it somewhere else.
right. That's the whole importance why these banks they made these maps. Because they wanted to know what was the most restricted area in the city, meaning quotation a quotation mark, what's the most restricted areas in the city, and those were the black areas.
Mm.
So those were the less funded areas. So if you look at the map, you see all the green or the blue, that's the type A area, right? It says the most desired areas with newest infrastructure were outlined in green and labeled as type A. So those areas that's green, those were type A. Those was the good neighborhood. And in between those like B and C, they like okay, maybe. But it says, but the least desirable areas were labeled type D. So type D, and it said it would be in red, outlined in red. So those the least desirable areas, and those would be type D. So once you went to the bank and tried to get a loan, they denied you. They said, hell no. You can't get a loan. You know what I'm saying? You don't belong in this area, which was probably making some good money, but you can't get in this area. You got to go back into the other area, right? They redlined the hell out of us, man. They made sure they refused us any type of thing. You know, let's get. I'm gonna get Isaiah 42 and 22, right? Because this is what they did, man. But not trying to give us loans and grants and different things that offer us help. You know, they destroyed us, man. They destroyed us as the people, man. You know, they destroyed us as the people. Isaiah 42 and 22, if y'all got it.
Isaiah chapter 42 and verse 22. But this is a people robbed and spoiled. They are
Uh-huh.
all of them snared in holes, and they
This,
are hid in prison house.
man, look here, you can call the projects the prison houses, you know? But we, like the scripture said, we are people robbed and spoiled, man. They have spoiled us, man. They have robbed us. You know, we have built this country for free, for damn free, and they can't even give us a damn loan to help us out, man. This is what they did to our people. And even today, the system still works. What they do is you can be still living next to your white neighbor, right? Your white neighbor, hey, y'all can be in the same neighborhood. You go out there, cut the grass at the same time. Hey, go to bed at the same time. But guess what? You paying more interest on your loan than he is due to your race. And
Mm.
I know about it. Jake gonna say, no, that ain't true. Trust me, it's true. It's true. And it's a lot of times we don't know these things because hey, they won't tell us, you
Mm.
know. And I'm gonna bring out a scripture on that. They don't. They won't tell us these things. But let's get the word. It say ghetto. Ghetto. A quarter of a city which Jews were formerly required to live. Right. Hey, guess what? The so-called Jew, he is not in the ghetto, man. This man is in paradise. He's in our paradise in Israel, living it up.
Mm.
Meanwhile, the real Jews are in the ghettos all across the planet. You know, it's number two. A quarter of a city in which members of a minority group live, especially because of social, legal, or economic pressure. You know, listen, man, they call us minority. We know who he's talking about. So you know what Esau, man, he slipped up when he put a quarter of a city which Jews were formerly required to live.
Uh,
You screwed up because that prophecy only fit us, man. It don't fit you, fakes. You know,
Mm.
it don't fit you, man. Yeah. So let me get another let me get that video, the Livertown video. Let's show the audience this because a lot of people probably don't know, but the Livertown was a town that it was one of the first suburban areas in America. And from this platform, they put suburban areas all over America, discriminating against blacks and Latinos mainly.
which
And
BOA?
it was the Livertown, what is called? What's called Curation, Livertown Curation, if I'm not mistaken.
Uh,
It's the one with the big Livertown water tank in front of
Hey, brother,
it.
you
And
mind if I bring something out right fast?
yes, sir, bring it out.
That scripture what we just read, Isaiah chapter, I think it was 42 and verse 22.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, it said, but this is a people robbed and spoiled. They are all of them snared and hold, and they are hidden in prison house. Now, when you think about who make up the prison population, most of the people who make up the prison population is the blacks and Hispanics. We got a few Edomites in there, but for the majority, like over 70%, 75, 80% are blacks and Hispanics. And we don't make up that big of a population in the country.
Con, con.
You see what I'm saying? So,
Yeah,
but I'm just bringing that out to show that it says they are here in the prison houses, and he's talking about the Israelites. You
that's
know,
right.
so basically the scripture telling you a bunch of the Israelites are going to be locked up in them jail cells in them prison houses.
That's right. I mean, and it's all really due to crime restricted areas, because we live in poverty.
Mm-hmm.
They know that. It's a systematically thing.
Mm-hmm.
So long as we stay in poverty, we're going to go into the jailhouses.
Mm-hmm.
Esau knows this. This thing is so systematic and strategically against us. And our churches would never bring this information out. But we guys, people, we the prophets, we got to bring this thing out to show our people, man.
All right.
We got to do this thing, man.
What comes along with poverty is crime, and when there's crime, there's incarceration. And there's that both.
If you can play the video, bro.
White picket fences, clipped hedges, well-maintained lawns. From the outside, it looks like the American dream. But what the community of Levittown was built on doesn't include all Americans.
The builder Levitt had in his deeds something that said this property can only be sold to Caucasian people. Now, we have to remember, those deeds were approved by the federal government.
Dolores and Erwin Quintine experienced this government-approved racist policy firsthand when they went looking for a home in Levittown in the 1960s.
The guy said, "You knows what, you get your out of here because we don't sell the."
Established 1947, but how Levittown was established has an effect on American culture today, not just in Levittown, but nationwide. William Levitt built the first mass-produced suburb in the country, and what happened in this 17,000 home development set the standard for thousands of communities coast to coast.
The only way that Levitt could build that subdivision was by going to the Federal Housing Administration and the Veterans Administration, getting a bank guarantee for the loans to buy the land and build the homes.
But the banks blocked out in red on maps neighborhoods that had even one black person living there and refused to make loans there. It's why Levittown said no to black buyers at all.
We went to the office where the gentleman was showing the houses. So my husband said to him, my wife and I interested in, purchasing a home here in Levittown. He said, "Get your out of here."
Richard Rothstein is one of the foremost researchers on housing discrimination in the U.S.
The federal government even required Levitt to place a clause in the deed of every home in Levittown prohibiting resale to African Americans or rental to African Americans. Those deeds are still in the homes today. They can't be removed.
They're no longer enforceable, but there it is, not to permit the premises to be used or occupied by any person other than members of the Caucasian race. Louise Casano has lived in Levittown since her parents brought her here in 1951, and she and her husband bought their home here 13 years later.
I don't doubt that a number of people bought into the community for the reason that it was Caucasian only. I have never heard of any incidents in this community where people of color have been abused in any way.
But there may be a reason for that. Even today, just over 1% of Levittown residents are black, just under 84% are white.
That's the problem with discrimination and racism. It carries forward.
When Levitt built his homes, there was no down payment for veterans, and for anyone else, it was $10. That's just $120 today, adjusted for inflation. And the homes cost about $8,000, the equivalent of $96,000 of today's dollars, prices black families could afford. But now, the value of a Levittown home?
$500,000 perhaps. The white families gained equity.
Housing advocate Ian Wilder says that created a huge divide of wealth,
which could be used to put children through school, which means through college, which means those children have a shot at a better paying job. The families that couldn't buy here lost $400,000 worth of equity.
That segregation, enforced by the government and kept in place to this day, means that most whites have lived separately from blacks for generations. Now, there were a few exceptions in the years after World War II. Well, sort of. Madeline Quintine shows us the clippings about her dad, a community leader. He was the man run out of Levittown nearly 60 years ago.
My father was about home ownership.
Erwin Quintine was finally able to buy a home here in Roanoke Park. The North Amityville subdivision, 4 miles from Levittown, advertised that all men are created equal.
It was basically where African Americans live.
And while they did build up equity, it was separate and unequal. North Amityville is now 92% Black or Latino and has a median income of about $73,500. That's 62 cents for each dollar Levittowners earn. So the housing discrimination that started 70 years ago in Levittown and spread nationwide created the wealth gap for African American families today.
Only in America. That's all I can tell you. Only in America would this happen, I guess.
All right, James Ford is joining us now tonight. James, what are some other ways this historical segregation has played out?
Well, Tamsin, it plays out in even more ways involving housing. Get this, a pair of detailed studies recently showed that nationwide, Black-owned homes are charged much higher property taxes than those owned by whites. But Black-owned homes are typically valued a lot lower than white-owned homes, sometimes when they're right next door to each other.
Can you hear me, brother? Come on. Now you see how wicked that was, man? They got their own neighborhoods. They striving, they doing great. And that's what they did. That's how they did it, man. They separated us. That was the beginning of the suburban area where they began to build. And that was really like the blueprint of them all going across America, where they began to build homes and houses only for Esau, only for the middle class whites, you know? And so they left us out of that. So even when we had money and we had, you know, some type of resources to go and live in those neighborhoods, they denied us. Now, I'm not trying to encourage none of my people to go into living into these neighborhoods. Hey, I say, get away from them. Get the hell away from them. But this what comes with, you know, saying, trying to join our people, man, trying to have some type of love and some type of, envy for them. You know, the scripture said, don't envy your enemies, man. You know, don't ever envy them because the reason why, when you go into their neighborhood and you're trying to be just like them, they're gonna destroy. They're gonna call the cops on you. You're gonna get harassed every day. These are things that would happen to the Israelites. You know, these were things that would happen to our people for not obeying the Lord, man. So check this out. I want to give Isaiah 42:2 again, but I want to get that bottom sentence of it, the bottom verse, right? Because nobody's gonna deliver us from this situation, man. Nobody's gonna restore us from this situation but the Lord, man. You know, here Jake thinking that we finna go into the neighborhood with whites, with so-called whites and be okay. But no, man, they still hate you, man. Even though you got a good job and your credit supposedly looking good, they still hate you. Oh, okay. Let me read that. It said, home appraised with a Black owner, $472,000. With a white owner, $750,000. Man, that's wicked, man. That's wicked. And look, you can be in the same damn neighborhood with Esau, man. Like I said, y'all could be cutting grass at the same time. You know, have the same amount of rooms in your house, have a damn dog. But you're still gonna pay more than him, and your house is gonna be less than his. That's a fact. They have so many examples. If I could have brought everything I have, all the resources I got on this topic right here, you'll lose your mind. It's so much, you know. And it was that at the bottom right there. Okay. It said last summer, Nathan Comley and his wife, Shannon Mott, welcomed an appraiser into their house in Baltimore, hoping to take advantage. Go ahead, Cleve.
It says they try to take advantage of historically low interest rates and refinance their mortgage. They believe that their house improved from a 5,000 tankless water heater and 35,000 in renovations was worth more than the 450,000 that they paid for it in 2017. Home prices have been on the rise nationwide since the pandemic in Baltimore. They have gone up 42% in the past 5 years, according to Zillow.com. So, yeah, but 2020 valuations, a Maryland appraisal company put the home's value at $472,000, and in turn, Loan Depot, a mortgage lender, denied the couple a refinance loan. So Dr. Connolly said he knew why. He, his wife, and 3 children aged 15, 12, and 9 are black. A professor of history at Johns Hopkins University, Dr. Connolly is an expert on redlining and the legacy of white supremacy in American cities. And much of his research focuses on the role of race in the housing market.
Man.
So it says months after the first appraisal, the couple applied for another refinance loan, removed family photos, and had a white male colleague, another Johns Hopkins professor, stand in for them. The second appraiser valued the house at $750,000.
Hey, sometimes you got to do that with Esau, man. Sometimes, hey, look at our forefather. Hey, we had went in there with Rebecca. Our mother had us put on the goat skin. We had to go in there, man, get that blessing, man. And that's how you got to be with Esau, man.
Wow.
They always trying to say, we supplanters, but yeah, we had to supplant y'all, man, because y'all wicked. Because you're not fair. You're not fair, man. And hey, look here, our forefathers supplanted them back in the day, man. And that's a clear example. You know what? Let's go to Genesis and get that thing, man. Just for that one, because our people don't recognize, man. We got to do Esau like this sometime, man. It's not fair. The whole system not fair. Even though we try to play fair with the system, they never fair with us, right? So
I got to bring our precept right there.
Go ahead, brother.
It's 2 Corinthians chapter 6 and verse 17. And it says, wherefore come out from among them and be ye separate, saith the Lord, and touch none of the clean things, and I will receive you. So we have to come from under these folks, man. Have to be separate from them. We don't have to try to be their friends. We supposed to live peaceably amongst them if we can. But we're not supposed to be under these folks just begging to be with them, trying to get along with them and fit into they program what they have. We have to be separate. We got our own program.
That's right. That's right. That's the thing, man. Israel always trying to get next to Esau by any means because he got a better way, he got a better life on his side of town. Like that was a beautiful scripture. The Lord told us to separate from our enemies, man. Separate from these devils, man. It's no good to come from them. It's no good. But in order for certain things to happen for us, of course, we're gonna have to get low with Esau, man. You got that, brother?
Genesis.
Yes, sir.
All right. You want the whole chapter? Or?
No, I'm gonna start off with the. Let's start with the verse 31.
All right. The book of Genesis, chapter 27, verse 31.
Up 25. Chapter 27.
All right. Book of Genesis, chapter 27, verse 25. And he said, bring it near me, and I will eat of my son's venison, that my soul may bless thee. And he brought it near to him, and he did eat. And he brought him wine, and he drank. And his father Isaac said unto him, come near now, and kiss me, my son. And he came near and kissed him, and he smelled the smell of his raiment, and blessed him, and said, see, the smell of my son is as the smell of the field, which the Lord had blessed. Therefore, Yahweh give thee of the dew of heaven, and the fatness of the earth, and plenty of the corn and wine. Let people serve thee, and the nations bow down to thee. Be Lord over thy brethren, and let thy mother's son bow down to thee. Cursed be every one that curseth thee, and blessed be he that blesseth thee.
So, our forefathers said, cursed be everyone that curse us, and blessed everybody that bless us. So that thing go on today, man. So for you Edomites that always want to curse us, The Lord said, curse you other nations too that want to curse us, man. You know, and it said, bless to those who want to bless us. You know,
Right.
read on, bro.
Verse 30. And it came to pass, as soon as Isaac had made an end of blessing Jacob, and Jacob was yet scarce gone out from the presence of Isaac his father, that Esau his brother came in from his hunting. And he also had made savory meat and brought it in unto his father, and said unto his father, let my father arise and eat of his son's venison, that thy soul may bless me. And Isaac his father said unto him, who art thou? And he said, I am thy son, thy firstborn Esau. And Isaac trembled very exceedingly, and said, who? Where is he that have taken venison and brought it me? And I have eaten of all before thou camest, and have blessed him, yea, and he shall be blessed. And when Esau heard the words of his father, he cried with a great and exceeding bitter cry.
Always damn crying, man. I'm sorry about that. Esau always got to cry for nothing, man. You gave it up. You sold your right. What are you crying for, man? Continue, brother. Go ahead.
And he cried with a great, exceeding bitter cry, and said unto his father, bless me, even me also, O my father. And he said, thy brother came with subtlety, and have taken away thy blessing. And he said, it is not he rightly named Jacob, for he have supplanted me these 2 times.
Yeah, we supplanted his behind, man. And that's what we got to do in this wicked ass system, man. That's why Jake always doing some clever stuff, man, because Esau always trying to keep us down, you know? And I ain't saying everything is right to, to do some things. Like, yeah, don't sell no drugs to your people, man. You know what I'm saying? Don't do the things, but Jake, we got to do sometimes, man. The brother might come with EBT card while you in Walmart. Hey, might be a good deal. I'm not trying to say brothers do it, but hey, don't get that thing, man, sometimes. But we have to supplant while we in this system, man. You know what I'm saying? Because this system wicked as hell, man. That's why the Lord don't mind us charging the other nations' interest. It's in our law to charge them. We can charge them however we want to, because they do the same to us. So while Jake, you trying to be all fair, I'm gonna be a good American. I'm gonna be a good African American, a good Christian. You be a good Christian all you want. Esau gonna still play you like a violin, man.
Hey, brother. The point you brought out where it said, you bless Israel, you shall be blessed, what you brought out a few seconds ago?
John.
Right. But, a lot of, like Esau, sometimes he be so lost that he thinking that's why they do the nation of Israel right now. That's why they like America's little brother, why America do for them, because they know that script where it says you bless Israel, you shall be blessed. Not really who Israel is. They thinking if they help Israel, supply them with their arms and be their big brother, that they going by the scripture as far as helping Israel, because they're thinking that the people over there, the people who occupy that landmass is Israel. Not realizing saying if he was to help the black, if whoever helped the black Hispanics and Native Americans, that's the Israel what he's talking about in the Bible. See, and they don't understand that it's talking about us. They thinking about it's talking about the people who occupy that land, man.
That's right, brother. That's so right, man.
That's why the United States is like Israel is their right hand man. They call Israel United States little brother because they know the scripture, but they ignorant of the scripture at the same time. They can't unlock it like we can.
Gone. Hey man, and a lot of Christians, man, they've been donating to Israel for a long time, man.
Because the scripture said, if you help Israel, you're gonna be blessed. That's why.
That's right.
But they probably didn't get all that help to us.
That's right.
Because they blind. They don't know who the real is. Some of them do, most of them don't know who the real is, what the Bible is speaking of when he said Israel, because Israel was a people before it was a place.
That's right. And let's get that, man. This Revelations 2:9. you know, everybody knows these things, but hey, let's bring this thing back out because that's a heavy point. And what we're bringing up is the poverty and the placement that our people are in. This is why a lot of Christians, like you said, they donate to Israel because they haven't been informed who the real Israelites are.
Exactly.
They thinking the Israel, you know, the Israelites were the Israelis are the ones that came from, you know, Germany and it was in its concentration camps, you know, saying it went through the damn gas chambers and all that. No, they're not the Israelites, man.
Right.
You know, the Lord didn't say you're gonna go through gas chambers. You know, that's not a damn,
Right.
that's not a curse. You know,
That's right.
you know, oh yeah, the real Israelites, they're going to be in a damn concentration. I mean, well, we're going to be in a concentration camp later on, but those things wasn't said in the scriptures, man. That the things that the so-called Jews went through, you know, they like to use that damn Holocaust as a reason to say, hey, fund me, America, fund me, Christians, and our people fall for it every time. You know, this is Revelation 2:9. I know thy works and tribulations and poverty. And poverty. See, you know what? You so-called, like you brought out, this is a great point, bro. These fake Jews, they only been in poverty. They was in damn poverty for a few years. They had a whole town. They had businesses, they had banks, they had all that in Germany, man. You know, yeah, Hitler took them out the communities. He did that, but he did not destroy those communities. He took them out, and they participated to go into those ovens. You know what I'm saying? Well, excuse me, gas chambers. It says, I know thy works and tribulations and poverty, but thou art rich. And it says, I know the blasphemy of them which say they are Jews. You know? So the Lord said, I know the poverty of those Jews, the ones of my people who going through hell. I know the tribulation of them that they can't get along. I know the tribulation of them that can't get the best jobs. He says, but thou art rich. He said, and I know the blasphemy of them that say they are Jews and are not, but are the synagogue of Satan. You know, so those people that claim to be Jews, they're not. We're here to inform you, Christians, man. You brothers and sisters, you know, if you just tuning in now and just hearing this word, we're here to inform you that so-called Jews, they're not the real Jews in the Bible. You're looking at the real Jews in the Bible, man, right now, you know? So let's go down here. So we was in the housing area. We was talking about the housing and how we were discriminated against, how the so-called white man, how he denied us loans, how he denied us grants, and different things to ensure us a nice home, a nice way of living, right? So in the meanwhile, he was denying us loans and grants. We stayed in poverty. We stayed in the low economic areas. And everybody know when you begin to be in low economic areas, that bring in poverty and crime, right? So let me read this article. It says this. It said, because of the despair, crimes and drugs, even today, have afflicted the Black community. They have afflicted us. You know, we see the results of being in poverty. Nobody else see that, man. You can't ask the Arab, you know what I'm saying, are you in poverty? Especially in America, that man living good. You know, I think one of the Arabs was telling us that, hey, he stayed downtown. And the brother kept saying, did you live in the city? He said, yeah, I stay in the city. I stay downtown in A.O.I. And it's a loft downtown called A.O.I. I looked it up. I said, oh, okay, that's what it was. This man don't stay in no damn poverty area. You know, only the so-called Jews, the real Jews in the Bible. You're the ones that stay in the hood, man, in the ghettos. You know, they have crime and all type of, you know, tragedy that happen inside communities. But it says this. It says, while being in crime areas and Blacks are being despaired, they are denied several billion dollars annually that could go to their school funding. You know, so we are denied billions of dollars every year. This is systematically thing, man, they have in place to keep us from getting on top any type of way. It said even after segregation, racist whites would leave white neighborhoods because of middle-class Blacks moving in, you know? So they receive billions of dollars, and this is why we wanted to go to those schools in those areas, We wanted better education for our children, right? You know, now we know that their education system ain't about jack. You know, it ain't teaching us who we are. It's misleading our people. But you know, simple Jake, you know, they want a better living for our people, man. And I understand that. You know, but these are the things that happen to our people trying to get ahead. These are the economic climbs that we try to do, try to get to while being in this system. And it says this: they call this the white flight. So as black people begin to go into their neighborhoods, second class blacks, second class Israelites, they begin to leave out. And then they begin to go into our neighborhoods and gentrify. You know, they begin to gentrify our neighborhoods, man. And because they wanted to get some of that good property. You know, back in the day, those structures of those homes back in the day, 5 bedrooms, three bathrooms, man, that thing was the life. You know, the Esau moved out. He wanted to get away from us. Now he's moving back into our neighborhood, which is called gentrification. Now he's gentrifying left to right, right? So, you know, so along came gentrification, excuse me, with poverty in our neighborhoods came crimes and drugs. You know, so let's get it, man. Let's get Luke chapter 21, verse 21, man. Luke chapter 21, verse 21. You know, because along with them trying to play us and not give us grants and give us loans to help us in our communities, man, they trodden us down as a people, man. They trodden us down, you know, and that left us with crime and poverty, man. They left a sword that came against us, man, killing one another, you know.
The book of Luke, chapter 21 and verse number 21.
Mhm.
Then let them which are in Judea flee to the mountains, and let them which are in the midst of it depart out, and let not them that are in the countries enter into thereinto.
Con. So it was saying those in Jerusalem flee into the mountains. You know, so when crime came that way, we wanted to flee another way. We wanted to flee into the area. Now that's going to 70 AD, but that example is for today because every time crime or different things happen to us, we are fleeing to other areas. You know, we trying to flee into areas that we can hide away from crime. But guess what? They came down to our areas and they came down and they tried us, man. Every time we try to move away from crime, despair, we always end up in trouble. We always end up in trouble with our enemies, man. Uh, give me let me give a good example of this thing, man. Judges chapter 6, verse 3 through 7. If y'all can get that for me. Judges chapter 6, verse 3 through 7. You know, yeah, it's just an example on how it happened, on how these disparities happened to us even back then, and how these other nations came against us. It wasn't just the white man; it was all of them. Just like today, you have the Arabs, you have the East Indians, all of them come into our neighborhoods and buy up everything, man. Buy up stores that was calamidated. They build them up. They start selling us weed, all type of things, man. You know. They sell us what cigarillos, Coke 45s. These are things the nations do.
Let me get a precept, King.
Okay.
The book of First Maccabees, chapter 1 and verse number 32. Right, this going into the Greek captivity, right? When we got taken over by the Greeks, right? When Alexander was ruling, and then you had Antiochus Epiphanes, right? It's First Maccabees, chapter 1 and verse number 31. And when he had taken the spoils of the city, he set it on fire and pulled down the houses and walls thereof on every side. Right. So now they setting the fire, spiritually on every side of us, wherever we live. It says, but the women and children they took captive and possessed the cattle. Right. Now they take our children captive through media, through computers, through TV. Now they're taking our people captive. It's the same thing that's going on, right? This is a spiritual thing that's going on. But check this out. This is verse 33. Then builded they the city of David with a great and strong wall, and with mighty towers, and made it a stronghold for them. And they put therein a sinful nation, wicked men, and fortified themselves therein. So even when they came and took over in those times, right, they would set up wicked men and fortify them, meaning put them in the city with Jews, with the Jews. So
Con,
therefore you had no choice but to see sin, right? To be around sin. So it was like a even today they say I'm a product of my environment. You know, they say I'm a product of my environment. So they try to make your environment bad. That way you can destroy the whole city, right?
con. And that was a good example, bro. This is what they do. Esau is known for doing these strategies against us, man. These schemes and plans, these things are not just coincidental. These things are planned. Ronald Reagan even it said himself, not himself, but it was even found in his memoirs that they tried to destroy the black community, man. They tried to destroy it, meaning they tried to set up different economic despairs in our community by bringing in crack. If anybody heard about the Reagan era, the crack epidemic was so heavy, it was so bad, man. I mean, you have fathers, missing out of homes, brothers that was heroin addicts. They brought that thing to our people, man.
Hey,
They
brother.
brought that.
And also, years later, after the Reagan era, FBI agents and other people that was dealing in law enforcement, back in, I guess, sometime in 2000s, they came out and said that when Reagan declared a war on drugs because of the crack epidemic, it really was a war on black men. It was disguised as a war on drugs, but they're really going to war against black men.
They lock us up in their prisons.
Right.
It was a
Snare
straight
in the
war,
prison
man.
house. Snare in the holes in prison houses. That was the scripture we just read earlier.
I'm gonna read this. This is Luke chapter 21, verse 22. It says, "For these be the days of vengeance, that all these things which are written may be fulfilled." Verse 23. "But woe unto them that are with child, and to them that give suck in those days, for there shall be great distress in the land." Right. So now, woe to our sisters that have single parent homes. A lot of our people that's in these conditions is because they placed us in this poverty. Now you have sisters that have have children, and they can't afford to take care of them. A lot of our people get abortions, man. So because they are in a despair time, man. They don't have the funding to take care of their to take care of their children, man. To take care of their household. He said, "But woe unto them that are with child, and to them that give suck." So a lot of our sisters, man, hey man, they sell their behind just to try to make up for their rent money, man. Make up to try to pay their bills. It said, "For there shall be great distress in the land, and wrath upon this people." Now we know this talking about 70 AD, but this thing applied today, man. Verse 24. "And they shall fall by the edge of the sword, and shall be led away captive into all nations." This is talking about us. "And Jerusalem shall be trodden down of the Gentiles until the times of the Gentiles be fulfilled." And when it says Jerusalem, it's not only talking about the land. Jerusalem are people. We have been trodden down by the Gentiles, man. Even today, we've been trodden down economically, educational, socially. All you can think of, we've been trodden down by the Gentiles. And this is not just talking about the so-called white man. This is talking about all of them. Your Chinese, your damn Koreans that tell you to hurry up and buy, all of them. It said, "To the times of the Gentiles be fulfilled," until the time of the Most High take these Gentiles out of here, man. Take them right out. So we're gonna go to the next video to show our people the impact of generational poverty, man. Now we just brought the scripture out And I use the example of Luke chapter 21, verse 23, where it says, "But woe unto them that are with child." I'm gonna show you an example of our sisters. The other video, bro. The video before that one. I think it's called "The Impact of Generational Poverty." You know, and see this video we about to show you, bro. I mean, brothers and sisters, this video is about to show our people, you know, in despair, man. Our sister, man, she was living in poverty. You know, she had children. Her mother was single parent home. You know, she had to go through it. But this is an example that's in Luke chapter 21, verse 23.
Every day was a struggle for Carletta Johnson.
Just being a single parent with no help, that was really, really hard.
Even harder with no car, little family support, and only a part-time job, which also meant for her no health care. She was relying on government-subsidized housing and food stamps to feed her 3 children. As for her paycheck,
it was no more than
$600
every 2 weeks.
That's every 2 weeks for you and your children.
Right.
And some days
I was sitting in the parking lot, I was just crying. And I'm like, okay, get yourself together.
But it was all she knew, raised by a single mother herself, forced to grow up to help care for her 5 siblings. More than 1,000 miles away in Phoenix, Arizona, Jonia Coleman has a similar story.
I grew up in a single parent household with my mom, and I had 7 other siblings. My mom was on government assistance for a while to be able to help feed us.
This is generational poverty.
People are often born into poverty, and it's been poverty that their mother, their grandmother, etc. has experienced.
For a family of 4, it's defined as making less than $26,000 a year. More than 38 million Americans live in poverty. For Black Americans, it's 1 in every 5, higher than Latinos, Asian Americans, and more than double the rate of white Americans. And it spills into all aspects of life. More chronic health issues, higher rates of divorce, and abuse or neglect. Climbing out can seem nearly impossible. It often requires a new job or a degree, much harder with fewer resources like transportation and childcare. That was Jonia's reality until 2 years ago, thanks to Live and Learn, where she gained support, new mentors, and a new mindset.
They're trying to help me with my credit, all type of things that they offered to me to get myself back in order.
Having somebody that makes you feel safe, having a cheerleader, having an advocate, having somebody that is by your side no matter what happens.
Back in Atlanta, Carletta is also defying the odds, recently moving into her own home for the very first time. She got her certification and became a teacher, now with big hopes for her own children.
My dreams for them is for them to grow up and just live a life. Don't have to worry about things that I had to worry about as a child.
Hoping she is the one to finally break the cycle. Blaine Alexander, NBC News, Atlanta.
Hey, NBC News fans, thanks for checking out our YouTube channel.
Yeah, man. You know, the news reporter said, hopefully she be the one to break the cycle, meaning to break the curse. You know, see, these are curses put upon us, man. You know, it ultimately, this poverty go back to the curses the Lord said would happen to our people, man, because we were disobedient and we didn't obey his commandments, man. You know, and his sister, man, and it's more sisters like her, man. That's just one example. You know, this sister probably better off than most. You know, Esau always like to end it off on a good story. The sister got housing and which is good. But ultimately, the sister had to go through it, man. Just like a lot of our brothers and sisters out there, man. So Esau create the problem, then he want to come with the damn solutions, man. You know? So let's grab this scripture. Let's grab Judges chapter 6, verse 3 through 7. Judges chapter 6, verse 3 through 7. And, you know, we're going to show you, man, the example from back in the day when the Midianites came against the Israelites, man. How they came and destroyed our neighborhoods, man. Came and destroyed our nation. You know?
The book of Judges,
bring it out, excuse me.
The book of Judges, chapter 6 and verse number 3. And so it was when Israel had sown that the Midianites came up, and the Amalekites and the children of the east, even they came up against them. And they encamped against them and destroyed the increase of the earth, till thou come unto Gaza, and left no substance for Israel, neither sheep, nor ox, nor ass.
And they don't leave no substance for our people, man. And to this day, they come into our neighborhoods, they suck it dry. They suck all the resources. They suck all of them. And the job, you go in and ask them for a job, they don't give you none, man. You know, I remember I asked an Arab one time, man. Hey, man, can I come into your store and work and clean up some? You know, I mean, I've been going in the store for years, man, getting gas, you know, whatever else. No, I can't do it right now. I go, okay. I mean, he the only person there. The store nasty and filthy. But this is what they do, man. They suck our communities dry. You know, they come into our neighborhood, they take everything, you know, not leaving nothing, you know. Continue on.
Verse 5. For they came up with their cattle and their tents, and they came as grasshoppers for multitude. For
And they came as like grasshoppers, man. Salaki, fam. Salaki, bro. They came like grasshoppers. The other nations, man, they came in hopping and taking everything they can for our people, man. They put their tents up, they set up their stores, and they started to make merchant with us. They started to put up they houses in our neighborhoods, man. Put up their stores in our places, man. Continue, brother.
For they came up with their cattle and their tents, and they came as grasshoppers for multitude. For both they and their camels were without number, and they entered into the land to destroy it.
And they came into our land to destroy it, man. You know, a lot of these Arabs, man, they come in talking about Aslak and Leakum, brother, but yet they selling our sisters crack cocaine. You know, I'm number one. I've seen that before, man. I'm a number one witness to that. You know, I seen a brother, excuse me, I seen an Arab come and sell our people cocaine, you know, crack. I'm in the line trying to get something, get a juice, and here it is. He offering the sister a little bag of cocaine right here. Here you go. You know, this is what they do, man. They come into our land to destroy it, man. They do it. Verse 6.
Verse number 6. And Israel was greatly impoverished because of the Midianites, and the children of Israel cried unto the Lord. And it came to pass, when the children of Israel cried unto the Lord because of the Midianites, that the Lord sent a prophet unto the children of Israel, which said unto them, Thus said the Lord God of Israel, I brought you up from the land of Egypt. I brought you up from Egypt and brought you forth out of the house of bondage.
And that's what. Go ahead, continue, brother.
And I delivered you out of the hand of the Egyptians and out of the hand of all that oppress you, and drove them out before you and gave you their land.
And see, this is what the Lord promised us, man. See, these Gentiles, they're going to come against us, but ultimately the Lord going to drive these suckers out of them, man. And see, the Lord sending us the prophets, man. We coming out there speaking to our people, man. Tell them the blessing of the Lord going to give them if they obey the Lord's commandments. Because ultimately, this is for us to win, man. We're not going to stay in these conditions too long. We're not meant to be in these conditions forever, you know. Even though they come into our neighborhoods, they take it over, they keep us in poverty. But these things are not always. The Lord going to drive them out, just like he drove us out of Egypt and took down the Egyptians. The Lord going to do the same thing with these other nations, man. You know, and we got to remember those things in Israel, man. So I'm gonna go right here to the next video, bro, if you can, where it says, why is generational poverty? Because that's the thing. We got to know as a people, why are these things happening? You know, and if you can start the video, you got to start the video at, I think, at 20, if I'm not mistaken. This brother gonna explain, you know, the economic structure on why our people are in these conditions, you know.
Consumer has the dollar is going to go buy a product and service produced by a black producer, and that money will only last within the community for 6 hours. So after 6 hours, that money will be spent on a good and service produced by a white person or an Asian person or a Jewish person or whatever. But Asians,
that's just how it'll go.
They have money, so the Asian consumer will spend his money on.
Don't worry about it, then. See if you can skip down, and he gonna he gonna go down to where it says the Jews are richer.
think
Let me see.
it is practically impossible for community to collectively achieve
Let me see. Go
self-sufficiency
down some more. Right
in
there.
this community in Brazil.
If you can see, I can hear.
These people, wherever they go, they create an economic system. They
Yeah,
create
it is
an
kind of hard to
economic
hear.
system. It's internal, so that the wealth grow collectively within
You
the
know what?
community.
Don't worry about it, bro. Because it's hard to hear. I can barely hear myself. I don't know the audience can. But this brother was bringing out the information showing how the Jews are taking over the community. How them as a people, how they begin to work and support their own race. And they come in our neighborhoods and they gather riches from us. But we have to, so not trying to give these Jews no credit because these are fake Jews. But we know ultimately that these people work together. They work together economically wise. And he was showing you how they come into the black community and take over as well, But the reason why, because they work together. So you ain't got to play the video. If you can, brothers and sisters, y'all get a chance, watch that video yourself. It's called Why Generational Poverty and perpetuate in the black community. Is that it, bro? So yeah. We, brothers, we get a chance, check out that video, man. It's a good video to watch. And the brother kind of really explained why generational poverty exists in our in our communities, And so these things, man, are despair to our people, man. We've been going through it since we've been here. In Israel, the Lord trying to call us out of this thing, man. It's time for us to get out. Now, I know this thing is a systematic system, but if we obey the Lord's commandments, we can overcome this thing, man. Because it start off spiritual first before anything. Then economically, the Lord will bless us, man. If you get it, if you can, brother, give me Job chapter 20 and verse 10 through 15. Because the other nations, as the brother was trying to bring out, he was trying to show you how the Jewish community come into the black neighborhoods and make money. These people rich, man. they made, but all the other nations, they come into us, man. They come into our neighborhoods, they come into our areas, and they come to swallow us up economically, man. They're here to take us down. And of course, this society, they tell you it's okay, let them move in, they God's people, they mean no harm. Man, these people are something else. They'll take you down. And so they can come up. So if you can, bring out Job chapter 20, verse 10 through 15.
The book of Job, chapter 20, verse 10, excuse me, reads, his children shall seek to please the poor, and his hand shall restore their goods. His bones are full of sin, of the sin of his youth, which shall lie down with him in the dust.
And what it's talking about, Salaki, what it's talking about, his children shall feed the poor, meaning that's when they started to bring in their, civil rights. This is when they started to march with us. The so-called Jews, a lot of these organized marches and protesters are funded by them. Like George Soros, he funded the Black Lives Matter movement. He was a Jew. These things are funded by the so-called Jewish man, And so what happened is they begin to bring these things into our neighborhood, bring the problem, but they begin to bring the solution as well. So that's why it says in that verse, that verse 10, read that verse 10 one more time for me, brother.
All right. The book of Job, chapter 20, verse 10.
Yes,
His
sir.
children shall seek to please the poor, and his hand shall restore their goods. His bones are full of the sin of his youth, which shall lie down with him in the dust.
So that thing right there, I'm sorry. When he says his hand shall seek to please the poor, meaning he should give you Section 8 now. He should, go into these political system and try to fight for you now. They should give you food stamps, the EBT. Those are things his children's hands should seek to please the poor. And we are the poor. Continue, brother.
Let me get a precept on that, King. The book of Exodus, chapter 22, and verse number 25.
Huh?
Exodus, chapter 22, and verse number 25, and it reads, "If thou lend money to any of my people that is poor by thee, thou shalt not be to him as a usury, neither shalt thou lay up him usury." So the Lord always talk about the poor of his people. You know,
Con,
the Lord is only concerned about his people. So when you see the poor, it's not talking about your Edomite who's scratching his itching and scratching on the corner, asking you for $2. Right?
con,
It's talking about the poor of his people. And there's more precepts that prove that we are the actual poor according to the Bible, because we're poor in spirit, right?
con,
It don't always have to be talk about money. See, Jake always thinking about money in every situation, you know. So it's not all about that. It's talking about the poor of our people, like the brother bringing up. You got it.
con. Verse 11, brother.
All right. The book of Job, chapter 20, verse 11. His
Uh-huh.
bones are full of the sin of his youth, which shall lie down with him in the dust.
And listen to this. His bones are full of the sin of his youth. And it's the sins of his youth is been like back in slavery, man. This man, his bones excuse me, his bones are full of the sin of his youth. Meaning back in the day, when he had those on slave auction blocks selling us off, we was the first market that was on Wall Street. That was the sins of his youth. Back when America first started, back in during the beginning of the Renaissance, you know. And it says, which shall lie down with him in the dust. You know, so these are the things he had to take this thing to the grave, is the scripture's talking about.
That's
verse
right.
12.
Verse 12. Though wickedness be sweet in his mouth,
Uh-huh.
he hide it under his tongue, though he spare it and forsake it not, but keep it still within his mouth.
Meaning I'm sorry, Salakia fam. Meaning he want to come out. He really want to say how he really feel. But he want to talk all pleasant. I love you guys. God love everybody. That type of notion, you know? Those the words that are sweet in his mouth. And it says, but keep it still within his mouth. He don't want to say how he really feel. He don't want to tell you that I hate your guts. I want to keep you in poverty. I want to keep you in this lower state, you know? Verse 14.
Verse 14. Job chapter 20, verse 14. Yet his meat is in his bowels is turned. It is the gall of apes within him. He has swallowed down riches, and he shall vomit them up again. Thou shalt cast them out of his belly.
And it says, yet his meat in his bowels is turned. It is the gall of gaps within him. Meaning, you know, it hurt him in the stomach, man. Like well, he want to say how you want to feel, how you really feel, excuse me. He want to really tell you, man, I hate you. His stomach hurts him to keep it all in. You know what I'm saying? So he got to go do all these sneaky ways to go through you, Jake. You know what I'm saying? But he really hates your guts. That's what it's talking about. That's why it says his meat in his bowels is turned. It is the gall of apes within him. Meaning he really want to say, man, he got to keep playing along this thing so he can get along his life, so he can have you to go along, get along with him, you know, in other words, you know. In verse 15, it says, he have swallowed down riches, and he shall vomit them up again. I mean, he have took our riches, man. He have took our land, you know. And this ain't just talking about the so-called, just talking about the white man as well, you know, the other Edomites. But this is talk about them, the Edomites in general and the other nations. But it said, he have swallowed down riches, and he shall vomit them up again. The Lord said he has swallowed down our riches, but he's going to vomit back up, because the Lord going to bring it back up, man. Right. On that day of judgment, the Lord going to bring these these devils back in their place. He's going to make them base again, and we're going to be the top people, you know, on the planet Earth, man.
That's right.
And it says, God should cast them out of his belly. The Lord going to bring it out of his belly, man. He been hiding his treasures, hiding the things he took from our people, man. You know, hiding our ancient relics from us. You know, all the gold he stole from the earth. The Lord going to renew it, man. You know. Verse 16. Let me see.
Right. Hey, let me get a precept on verse 15, if you don't mind, King.
Come on.
All right, quick precept is the book of Joel, chapter 3 and verse 5. Because ye have taken my silver and my gold, and have carried into your temples my goodly pleasant things. So yeah, they took the silver and gold. They took the Israelites, and it said the Lord is going to make them to God shall cast them out of his belly. And right now, we in the belly of the beast, man. We in the belly of the beast. Israel is swallowed up by who? The so-called white man. We've been swallowed up as a nation, swallowed up as a heritage, swallowed up in every type of way that you can think of. We've been swallowed, and then the Lord gonna make them spew us out. You know.
Man, that's beautiful, bro. Beautiful precept. Because this is the thing, man. You know, a lot of times our people are so passive and so forgiving. We you know, we neglect history. We neglect the things that happened to us, man, because we want to forget about it. That was just the past. It don't really make no difference today. Everything makes a difference today, man. This is why we're in these conditions, man. This is why the Lord got us out here trying to wake you up as a people, because it matters, man. History matters, man. The things that our enemies did, it matters, man. You know, in Israel, you can't escape it. Only way you're going to escape this thing if you repent to the Lord and humbly and come back and keep his commandments. That's ultimately what you have to do, you know. Right. And let me get Joel 2:25. 2:25.
Right.
You know,
the book of Joel, chapter 2, and verse number 25.
Yes, sir.
And I will restore to you the years that the locust hath eaten, the cankerworm and the caterpillar and the palmer worm, my great army which I sent among you.
God, the Lord said he should restore, you know what I'm saying, the years the locusts have took from us, the riches. These the other nations, man. They're the locusts. They're the cankerworm, man. The so-called white man. You know, the Edomites. You know, excuse me. For the brothers and sisters that get offended when you say white man, the Edomites, that's his biblical name. This man has been a cankerworm to us, man. This man have devoured us. You know, we don't stand a chance. We go into our neighborhoods and try to separate from them or try to do better with our life. This man come in and try to take us down. You know, is there some more on that, brother?
I got a quick point too. You look at these different insects, right? These are insects that you do not want in your garden, right? The Lord said that we would be like trees, right? And we would be we pretty much like plants in this thing. So you don't want these different things in your garden because they'll eat you up, right? Locusts, right? The cankerworm. The cankerworm will eat you from the inside out, right? As far as a leaf, you know.
Right.
So that's now you have COINTELPRO. You know, when they destroyed the so-called, they destroyed the Black Panthers, right? They sent cankerworms in there. They sent other nations in there, and they destroyed. That's why we can't join with these other nations and try to build with them. Because you try to build with these other nations, man, you sitting here trying to build bricks, man. They gonna add sand into the side of your building, man. So the first rain that comes, is gonna wash that thing away, man. And your whole side gonna be messed up, man. They send termites in there. Right. Now your whole foundation is off, you know.
Hey, look at brother Fred Hampton. You know, he tried to do something in California, you know. I think, was he from California or Chicago, if I'm not mistaken? But Fred Hampton tried to do something for the people, for his community, man. And here it is, they sent the FBI agent in there, man. He sent the brother in there. If you brothers and sisters ever seen the movie, check it out. Judas and the Black Messiah, man. You know. But yeah, they sent the FBI agent, which was a brother. They sent him to infiltrate the movement, and he was basically a cankerworm for the white man. Man, he went in and tried to infiltrate, and he even said out his own mouth. The brother said, "Hey, yeah, I went in and I tried to develop information that can go against him, but the man never did anything. But we made up lies to have the police to come in so they can kill him. So, man, this devil, man." And the brother ended up hanging himself too. The brother ended up not hanging himself. He committed suicide because it really got to him. I guess he got death threats and everything after people found out that he was the one that helped destroy Fred Hampton. You know, but this is what Esau do, man. These other nations, man, they are after us, and this is why our communities are in the way they are in. You know, this is why they try to come back and gentrify neighborhoods. And this is, you know, this is why they try to come in and say, well, look, Jacob, you know, look, Israel, so-called blacks, you know, we want to move in next to you. If you can, allow us in for a minute, you know, so we can establish with you. Don't you want to integrate with us? Meanwhile, they come into your neighborhood and with the, with your houses that was calamidated on the side of you. Meanwhile, they built that thing up looking nice. Now the rent and went up, saying $100,000 more. Now everybody houses that's over in that area started to go up. That means Jake don't have the job like Esau have to pay these houses, to afford these houses. Now that means that you're gonna get ready to get out. The older people that's in the neighborhood, they're gonna die off. If they don't own the property, if their family owns the property, that thing is gone. That means Jake is out of there. They're gonna move Jake in the middle of nowhere, and Esau is coming back to take the city. Because ultimately, the whole thing is he wants to control the political power. He wants that control, that power again, man. But the Lord said, hey, he shall build and he's going to destroy. He's going to throw down. If you can, brother, give me Malachi 1 and 4. Malachi 1 and 4, because Esau think he's going to come back into our neighborhoods, man, and he going to do it up, man. He going to gentrify the hell out of it. I'm going to show y'all how to do this thing, man. I'm going to put in new stores. I'm having damn suburban plazas. I'm going to do it right. But the Lord said, no, he got some news for you. Malachi 1 and 4.
The book of Malachi, chapter 1, verse 4. Whereas Edom saith, we are impoverished, but we will return and build the desolate places.
They're going to come back and build the hoods, the ghettos, man, the barrios. And see, look, you blacks and Hispanics, see, this ain't just talking about the blacks and Hispanics, the black people. This for our other brothers too, our Hispanic brothers too, and our Native American brothers, man. You are affected by the same situation, But continue, brother.
But thus saith the Lord of hosts, they shall build, but I will throw down. And
the Lord said, they shall build, but he shall throw down.
And they shall call them the border of wickedness, and the people against whom the Lord hath indignation forever.
Indignation forever, man. We're going to call Esau the border of wickedness, man. And that's what you are. You are the wicked. Because you come in our neighborhood, you come in to destroy it. You come in to, dismay us as a people. And, but the Lord said he got indignation with you forever because of the way you do us, man. The way you hate the Lord's people. That's why the Lord hates you, And my name is Brother Yakub. And thank you, brothers and sisters, for showing up, showing out, and being patient with me on this video, man. I hope you guys got some out of it, My name is Brother Yakub.
Brother Benaiah.
Brother Ananias.
And with that, Israel, shalom. We love you, brothers and sisters. Shalom.
Shalom.